Oh, you're going to see everybody talk in the chat about a different background because I got the slots behind me. They like to talk about that shit. You know what I mean?
Okay. Talking about the soundproofing.
Yeah. Let's do this. Turn up. There we go. Rank it up in the years.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. From the CZ Studios.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense from the CZ Studios begins right now at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. On this Patriot Mobile microphone, of course, it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing today, my brother?
Not too bad. TGI Thursday.
TGI Thursday. So we are up on Facebook Live, ladies and gentlemen, facebooklive.com, Facebook Live/armedamericanradio.com. You can watch us there. You can listen to us there. Please don't watch if you're driving. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Please be safe. You can always bring us in on the listen live portion. You can figure that out. Greg, I'll let you tell everybody where else they can go to watch and listen and get involved in the chat. I see people in the chat already here. They're saying it's showtime, and it is showtime. And then we'll get started with John Commerford from the National Rifle Association, ILA.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, we appreciate that very much. And if you are watching the live stream and you're not doing that while you're driving, you'll notice some changes to the studios because we've had some construction going on over the past, I don't know, what's it been, Greg? Past week or so?
Yeah, I'd say a little over a week.
Something like that. Yeah, lots of changes coming to the appearance of the studio. Yeah, always been a lot of fun. All right, guys, let's get started today. Let's go over to John Commerford, Executive Director at National Rifle Association Institute for Legislative Action. You might know it as the NRAILA. John, my friend, welcome in. How are you, brother?
I'm okay. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure. So we have a lot going on at NRAILA, and I have to get to the Virginia elections with you, okay? Because that was a mess. That was a mess, and I can't wait to hear from the position of the National Rifle Association on that. There's a lot going on, and yeah, when I say it's a mess, John, I think you'll agree with me, right?
Yeah, look, it was a tough night. I mean, there's no way to describe it. The Democrat base was motivated in Virginia. They're motivated in New Jersey. Obviously, you know, in New York, you got Mamdani, which is going to be the gift that keeps on giving, and couldn't have happened to a better place. But when you look at what's happening here in the Commonwealth, we have our work cut out for us. You know, the Democrats haven't held back on their desire to pass gun control over the last 2 years. Luckily, we had Governor Youngkin in there with his veto pen ready. But we don't have that anymore. We are facing Governor Spanberger, who is not shy about her desire to pass gun control. She's a darling of the Bloomberg every town mom's demand crowd. We got Jay Jones, which, you know, just a despicable human being, moved into the Attorney General office, and we got our work cut out for us. They swept a ton of seats in the state house, getting their margin up to 64. But even though the Senate has a very slim margin in terms of their majority, it's much more radical left in the Senate. So it's going to be a challenge. There's no other way to say it.
Well, let's get real about this. I want people in Virginia who are listening to pay very careful attention. And John, this is not just Virginia, because what we're getting ready to see happen in Virginia, John, as we've been talking about since the election last week, at least on this show, is this is the blueprint. What they're getting ready to do in Virginia, and ladies and gentlemen, they're going to do it. It's going to happen. And we'll get John's opinion on that in just a second before we move on to some of the great work the NRAILA is doing. They're going to do it. But, John, Youngkin, correct me if I'm wrong, vetoed close to 30 anti-gun bills over his tenure.
You're exactly correct. I mean, that veto pen was active, and it's, you know, it's gonna come again. I mean, that's why I think maybe later we'll touch on some of the court cases that are pending.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of those get to the Supreme Court to try to discourage what they're going to try to do. But they're going to do it anyway. We're going to have to be there in Richmond with our state team, with our grassroots team, working with the other gun groups in the state, VCDL, our state association, GOA, SAF, everybody. It's going to be an all-hands-on-deck approach to this legislative session. It's getting ready to kick off in January. It's going to be 60 fast and furious days to protect our freedom here. And
it's going to be tough.
And we know it's coming.
Yeah, it is.
The lawyers are ready, but litigation's expensive. It's a lot easier if we can have gun owners show up in Richmond, contact their lawmakers, make their voices heard. Because look, the left is energized after that election, and they think that the Second Amendment loving base that we know exists in this Commonwealth of Virginia has gone off into the night, and we need to wake them up. That election should serve as a stark wake up call for conservative and gun-owning voters.
Did they not know it in advance, John? I mean, I know you guys got the word out. VCDL was working feverishly on this. And let's just talk briefly about what's getting ready to happen, folks. They're going to dust off at least 26 anti-gun bills. You're going to see everything that Youngkin vetoed come right back alive. And they're going to pass it. And Spanberger's going to sign it. So, John, let's that's a perfect place to segue to court cases now, because we're going to have to rely on the courts in this case. And correct me if I'm wrong. It appears to me to be really the only stopgap that we have at this point is the courts. So let's talk Supreme Court. We need an assault weapons ban. We need an 18 to 20-year-old case. The NRA is working feverishly on that in Florida and elsewhere. So let's kind of segue there, because that will at least put a stop. I don't know. All you got to do is look at Minneapolis. They've already been warned up in Minneapolis. You're violating state preemption. The Democrats don't care. They're doing it anyway. So how do you're right. Litigation is expensive. Obviously, it's very costly, and it's also very time-consuming. This could take years, even though we know it's coming. So can the Supreme Court help us in Virginia by taking a few of these cases? There's already 4 on the docket for conference this week, and another 2 pending.
Yep, and we have 64 cases total that NRA is involved with right now, and the reason the volume is so high is because anti-gun jurisdictions continue to defy the will of the courts. We saw that in response to Bruin with the temper tantrum bills in various states, and we're going to see that again if we can get one of our cases up there. You're right, NRA has 4 cases. 3 are Second Amendment related. A 4th is the Volo case out of what New York did to NRA to silence our voice and silence the voice of our members. But on the core Second Amendment civil rights cases, we have an SBR case. We have the under 21 case, which you mentioned out of Florida. And then we have a hardware case on magazines, which is the Duncan case out of California. That case alone is probably about a decade old. Yeah. But we need the Supreme Court to take a hardware case. We've been, disappointed time and time again since Bruin when the next step has made it to the Supreme Court. So with the way these jurisdictions and these states are operating towards their disdain towards the Second Amendment, we need the court to set them straight. We need the court to tell these states exactly what the Second Amendment means, so we can continue on and we can beat back and load our tool belt to beat back against what is going to come in Richmond. So if the court grants cert, even though we won't have a decision by the start of session, right, we can hope to use that to try to take a little wind out of their sails.
John, you're spot on with everything. You're dead on. As I always quote my cousin Vinny, I can't say the word that I want to because of the FCC, but you are dead on, blank accurate with everything that you just said. If I look at, I try to pick what would be the most important case for SCOTUS to take right now that would help thwart an effort, and I would guess, at least in my estimation, I would say an assault weapon ban case, because we know they're going to come up with that. So let's go back to that hardware case. Is it possible that we see a magazine ban combined with an assault weapon ban case that could do, a double whammy for us in the courts and at least help stave off what we know is coming in Richmond when they know the court has the case? And let me couple that with this. Do you happen to know? I don't. I'd like to know how many of the conservative justices live in Virginia. That might be a big help for us here. I don't know.
I don't know their addresses. I do know some live in the district, shockingly, but they must. I think they want a shorter commute time, I guess. Yeah. the taxpayer-funded Suburbans will take them wherever they need to go. However, when it comes to the case, so Duncan's the first one there of our cases that deal with hardware
30
magazines, but I think the standard there is the decision we would get out of that would be helpful on other hardware cases as well. Now, remember, if we get a good win on one of these, first, if they grant cert, most of the cases are going to be stayed where they are in the federal system,
Right.
whether it's district level or appellate level. Then if we get a good decision, they're all going to be going back to the starting point and re-arguing under that new standard, just like we saw after Bruin. But right behind Duncan is the case out. We have the case out of the Seventh Circuit, and then of course we have the case out of the Third Circuit
20.
In New Jersey, where
Get in there.
John, let me
Circuit
stop.
changed.
Let me stop you right there. We'll go to those cases when we come back. We're getting ready to take our first hard break. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense will continue. We have one more segment with John Commerford, Executive Director, NRAILA. Back right after this. All right, guys, thanks for being here. We appreciate it very much. We have another segment with John, and we'll push through as much as we possibly can. As you guys know, time flies. So bear with us during this network break. We appreciate it. And please subscribe to us on social media. Follow us. Like us wherever you're watching the show. We would appreciate that very much. After what just happened with YouTube, it's really important. Support us over there because they clearly don't like what we do. at it.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. PatriotMobile.com, the Patriot Mobile booth here, the Patriot Mobile Command Center, the Patriot Mobile mic. We love them. Stephen Zaida will be here from Patriot Mobile at the bottom of the hour. We appreciate you supporting all of our great sponsors and partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Welcome back in. If you're just joining us, welcome in. If you're rejoining us, welcome back. We've got one more segment with John Commerford, Executive Director, National Rifle Association Institute for Legislative Action. Let's just keep it going. We'll talk about our partners during another break. John, let's get back to you on this. You were talking about 3 cases. I apologize. We had that hard break come up. If you would, please continue.
Yeah, sure. So where I left off was if for some reason the court did not take Duncan, or if they did and then they want to look at something afterwards that deals with actual firearms beyond just magazines, NRA has cases right behind that. So we just had the Third Circuit hear a hardware case en banc. That was that really unique situation where the Third Circuit sua sponte took the case en banc without actually issuing a decision from the panel. Mm-hmm. And it's important because we saw a change in the makeup of the Third Circuit. Yes. There's a conservative majority now, and actually the morning of the en banc hearing in our case, and there was other cases too, Cheeseman and others combined, but NRA's was the lead case. They confirmed or they added Judge Mascot to the bench. So we have a bigger margin there. So there's potential for good rulings to come out of that case. And right behind that is the Seventh Circuit hardware case where it's NRA and others that have been combined as well. So there's a potential for circuit splits to be set up there, right, which the listeners know is a good recipe to get to the Supreme Court. So there's a lot of trains on the track. We just got to make sure they get to the station at different times. And that's the game with the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah, and I think you'll agree with me on this, but we are now we're 3 years removed from Bruin. And the courts have had enough time, and I believe that's why we're seeing these cases come up for conference at this level anyway, at this volume, is because the lower courts have had enough time, according to the Supreme Court, likely the conservative majority, which, of course, as you know, it only takes 4 to hear a case, but we get less than 1% of those cases granted cert, by the way, so it's very important. But the fact that we've got these 2A cases or 2A involved cases tells me that the Supreme Court is now ready to start looking at this removed from Bruin, which I think works to our advantage. And those splits, as you mentioned, are huge when it comes to this. So I feel confident, based on what we saw from Kavanaugh, that we see an assault weapons ban case come up. And I hate to use that phrase, ladies and gentlemen, I've said it before, but that's what you know it as, what most people know it as, and that's what the left has hijacked the language. So I feel confident in that. And I don't know, you tell me if I'm wrong, John, but we've talked about this before, you and I. We get a case to the Supreme Court on assault weapons, we win the case hands down. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah, they're not going to take the case to affirm a bad decision at the lower circuit. Like, for instance, on Duncan, if we win, let's say in the Third Circuit, and the state, appeals to the Supreme Court, that'll be interesting to see what they do there in that situation. But generally speaking, they're not going to take that case for us to lose based on the current makeup of the court. That can always change, but we have to get something there. We have to get clarification in a post-Bruin world on how this applies to hardware, and that way we can help beat back the efforts in states like Virginia now to restrict our rights. And that will be the greatest thing that we've done in terms of protection of the Second Amendment, is to solidify this through the U.S. Supreme Court.
Agreed. Let's go to a couple of NRAILA that's on the docket right now. And ladies and gentlemen, you can follow this over at NRAILA.org, should you be so inclined. I hope you do. You can also join us at NRA.org/AAR and get in this fight. Many of you have. We appreciate that. We need more of you. Please, you can find that at my website at armedamericanradio.com. You can go to NRA.org/AAR. Florida right now, this is out today from Legal and Legislation at ILA. House committee to hear pro-gun bill repealing age discrimination of adults.
Yes. So this would be a legislative fix to the current problem as they have sitting before the Supreme Court. If they grant cert, we hope to win there. We saw Attorney General Upmeyer going to take an unprecedented step with filing the state's reply brief to our cert petition, actually arguing that the law is unconstitutional and taking our position. So we tried to fix it legislatively down there. The Senate president is an absolute roadblock for good Second Amendment legislation like this and pro-gun reform. So until that person's out of there, that's going to be a challenge. That's why we're working to fix it in the courts.
John, that position in Florida has been a thorn in our side for decades in that state, by the way. I have not been able to quite figure out why that is, but it is, and you are right about that. Let's quickly move over to Pennsylvania. Firearm registration bill passes committee and is headed to the House floor. This happened on Wednesday, the 12th, when the House Judiciary Committee passed HB 1891 on a 14-12 party line vote. What's going on there?
Well, we have a really good, the residents of Pennsylvania are lucky. We have a great state director in Darren Goins, who's up there at the Capitol on a regular basis. We saw them try to run through a few things back, a month or so ago, and we've seen some success and some failure. So I think it's going to be, it'll be a fight all the way to the end when it comes to these bills in Pennsylvania. So I want people to stay tuned there and make sure if you live in Pennsylvania, please go to NRAILA.org and look at that alert that he's talking about, and you can take action on that bill to get your state representative to oppose HB 1891. Keep in mind, if you sign up for our alerts, you will get these, and we do not fundraise through that NRAILA list. It's solely to activate you when we need you to take action.
And ladies and gentlemen, we need you to take action, not just in Virginia, but across the country, particularly if you live behind the blue wall. If you live up in Minneapolis area, they're getting ready to do the same thing in St. Paul. Guys, you got to stay on your toes about this stuff, okay? There's no better source for this activity than NRAILA.org. We use it as a source here every single day and have for many, many years. You should be doing the same thing. I do want to point out that you mentioned that Third Circuit flip to majority. You can thank Donald Trump for that, ladies and gentlemen. So that's big news in the courts right there, and that's why elections have consequences. Go ahead.
You're exactly right, and that's where we saw in Virginia the Democrats came out, but the Trump voters did not come out. The president has a great ability to motivate people to vote for him, but he also has the ability to have people vote against him. The key is in the midterms, he is not on the ballot, but everything that he embodies, everything he stands for, his agenda, what we voted for on November 5th, 2024, that is on the ballot in 2026. If you want to protect judicial nominations, protect and expand just what we saw happen in the Third Circuit, gun owners, conservative voters, they have to get out to the polls. Whether or not Donald Trump is on the ballot in written form, he's on the ballot in theory, because we need to protect his agenda. We need to protect our agenda, which is protecting freedom.
Well, you better believe it, John. That means we're coming to the end. I'd like to bring you on next week again if I can. I still have a lot to cover with you, and there will be more. I'll reach out to Justin. We'll see if we can make that happen based around your schedule. John
Happy
Commerford.
to do it.
Oh, I would hope to have you back. Love you guys. Guys, John Commerford, NRA Executive Director, NRAILA, Institute for Legislative Action. Back with Stephen Zaida, Patriot Mobile, right after this.
following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting NRA.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in the CZ studios, Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 Eastern, 1 to 2 Pacific on, I don't know, many dozens of radio stations around the nation. I've lost count. Welcome back in, guys. If you're just joining us, welcome to the program. You just heard from John Commerford, National Rifle Association, ILA Executive Director. Chock full of info. NRA was listening to that in Virginia, and I can tell you right now that John will be back next week. We're going to check his schedule because we want him back. There's a lot to cover, and a half hour just is not enough time to do that, but you just heard the National Rifle Association rejoin. We need you in this fight, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely critical. It's easy to do. Look, 1 to 3 year membership, we're going to send you a range bag. That ends at the end of the month, okay? So get in on this while you can. And then one of you will win another range bag filled with all kinds of swag from our other sponsors here at Armed American Radio. We're going to fill that for you. It'll be worth a nice little penny, okay? 5 year life membership, get you the binoculars. 10 by 42. The things are awesome with the lens covers and the case. Very cool stuff. I know it's tight out there. If you can only swing 1 year, that's good enough. It's $35. We're going to send you a range bag. Make up for it, okay? That's $10 off, plus you get all the other all the other cool stuff you get with the National Rifle Association. So join us, NRA.org/AAR. Also, I got to give a shout out to my boy Dominic, who fixed my truck yesterday. And Greg in Dallas, before we go to Stephen, it's running like a top, man. It's running like brand new.
Good.
That's
awesome.
That's a beautiful thing. We've been fighting a battle over the last couple of weeks with that thing. And Dominic, thanks, brother. Love you. Thanks for all your help. I do appreciate it very much. Let's go to Stephen Zaida. Stephen, of course, with Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com. And, of course, this is the Patriot Mobile mic at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Stephen, welcome in, brother. How you doing? It's always a pleasure to hear your voice, my friend.
Hey, Mark. It's been a while. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on with you today.
When was the last time you were on? Was it when we were at GOA?
No, you know what? No, I've been on one time since then. It was probably 2 months ago.
Yeah, I thought so. It's been too long. So let's get cracking here. We got a lot to cover. You know, some of the stuff I was talking about with John Commerford, Executive Director at NRA Institute for Legislative Action, is some of it kind of overlaps what I wanted to talk with you a little bit about, because Patriot Mobile is neck deep. As part of your corporate mission, you support the right to keep and bear arms as part of your company mission. And right now, it's under vicious attack. And people are thinking, well, Trump's in office. I don't have anything to fear. Okay, Stephen, really? Okay. I hear a chuckle in the background. I don't like to laugh at that statement that I just made, but my gosh, how do you get people off their duffs here to understand what's happening? Virginians see it now and feel it, and it's a mess. And they're coming. Yeah. You guys are based out of Texas, man. They're coming after Texas. Well, you got Newsom in Texas more than he is in California, for crying out loud. Can't you guys tell him to stay home?
Texas is under attack. I mean, we live in Tarrant County here, which is, probably, 2.6 million people, bigger than maybe 5 states. And it is, if we lose Tarrant County, we could lose Texas, man. It's not something that we're taking lightly at all.
So what is Patriot Mobile going to do to get in that? Now, I mean, you guys do honest to goodness, I've never seen a company work like you guys ever. Your mission is incredible. But when you feel you have to ramp up, has that sentiment set in at Patriot that we have to ramp up? Even though Trump's in office, we've really got to step up. And I don't mean Patriot Mobile itself, but all of us in this fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at Patriot Mobile, we're always, pedal to the metal, right? I mean, we are always ramped up because we know that the forces out there on the left that are constantly working against everything that we're about and everything that we are trying to do under our umbrellas, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, military, first responders, and pro-life. But our Second Amendment, I mean, what people don't realize, there's a lot of companies out there. We talk about the red economy all the time, right? There's a lot of companies out there on the left that are really working hard, using your money to fight against our Second Amendment rights and other rights that they don't agree with, okay? And so we're just here on the front lines. We're all activists, and we're here on the front lines day to day, fulfilling our God-given rights and freedoms. And, every dollar that people spend with Patriot Mobile goes to defend those rights every day. That's what we're at the front line doing.
It's remarkable. And I know you guys do some work with Turning Point as well, too. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We do a lot of stuff with Turning Point.
Did you have anybody in Berkeley? When I talked to Josh earlier today to give him an idea of what I wanted to chat with you about, that came up. As far as Berkeley, I did want to bring that up because you do have an affiliation and a big one with Turning Point. Did you guys have any reps there that got caught up in that mess?
No, we didn't have anyone at that particular event.
Thank God.
We had at some of the others. But here's the thing with that, Mark. It's the old story of the left, right? They want to answer everything with violence, right? Charlie was about Christ and peace and loving everyone, and here it is. They're just doing these events on these college campuses, and here we go. They talk about free speech. They want to come in. They want violence. They want to disrupt free speech. It's the old narrative.
Who's the fascist?
Changes.
Stephen, who's the fascist?
Yeah, exactly, right?
I can't help but laugh about it. If you and I were sitting face to face together, we'd be laughing.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, we're going to approach everything with love and peace. One of the things constantly out of the mouth of Glenn, Glenn and Jenny, our founders and owners, that they don't even say we're pro-life, which we are. We're pro-love, right? So we're going to continue answering all this violence with love and keeping it where we're just here doing what we're doing to defend our God-given rights.
Rob Schneider was at that event in Berkeley, and he was telling a story about running into that moron Robert De Niro, who sadly is a great actor. I can't watch his stuff anymore. But that's okay. I've seen it all, so it really doesn't matter to me anymore. And I guess in that sense, he's already got my money, right? So there you have it. I admit defeat in that circle. But Schneider made a brief comment about running into, being pushed actually into Robert De Niro, who turned around and looked at him. And he did a pretty good impersonation of Robert De Niro. And Robert De Niro asked him in a vulgar way why he supports Donald Trump. And he said he looked at Robert De Niro and he said, you know what, man? I love you. I love you. And it just took all the wind out of De Niro's sails. He goes, okay. Well, he turned around. Because they can't really respond to that, right? Why, they could. But it's pretty tough to do.
I had not heard that response from Rob. But that is exactly what I'm saying. That is the perfect response because it shuts them down. They are defenseless at that point as to what to come back with. I mean, they're expecting us to fight fire with fire. We're not doing that.
Yeah, it's terrible. But, hey, Berkeley's a mess. I had to crack up. I know Greg, how much time? We're getting ready to take a break, I understand.
About 35 seconds.
35 seconds. Stephen, I'll take us to the break with this. I'll just kind of set us up here before we go to this hard break. But some of the things I wanted to mention with you today, a lot what I was talking about with John Commerford, the recent Virginia elections.
Scratch that 40.
And the impact that they're going to have on gun rights, not only in Virginia. And I kind of want to tie that together with what happened in New York City. It's very disheartening to see what happened there. And guys, news out of Seattle today. A socialist, communist, socialist, Marxist just beat the incumbent mayor
30.
in Seattle, Stephen, as you are probably well aware. So this is very real, okay? We're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, let's go there and have a little discussion of, what direction is the left really going here? What do we need to be really, really concerned about? And what makes our Second Amendment even that much more important, ladies and gentlemen? Because it's very, very real what is happening out there. You have two major American cities, one on the West Coast and one on the left coast and one on the right coast, actually, that have just elected bona fide communists to run their city. What kind of a threat is that to all of us across the country? And why are our conservative values and our Second Amendment rights so much more important? We'll continue the conversation with Stephen Zaida from Patriot Mobile right after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Hey, Greg, don't take a sip of that apple juice or coffee during the break. Wait until the cameras and mics go live again. You know how that goes. Greg needs to remind me of that stuff, and he should be telling me during the breaks. Take a sip of your coffee or whatever you're drinking during the break. Don't wait until we come back. But he doesn't. We have to work on that.
Not my responsibility, honestly.
It's really not. It really is not. But take advantage of that, right? And you got the mic, might as well. Hey, guys, attorneysonretainer.us. If you don't have them, you're making a huge mistake. Please get yourself this card. Put it in your wallet. We're going to save you $50 on the sign up over there. That's a big deal because it will provide you, if you have to go to trial in a self-defense case, 4 attorneys. Think Dream Team, okay? All for $35 a month. Don't be that person that said, oh, man, I should have listened to him and I didn't. And I'm going to say the same thing about Patriot Mobile. I got 2 Patriot Mobile. Here's one right here. Here's a Patriot Mobile phone. Holding that up for you right there. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Join us, please. Stephen Zaida from Patriot Mobile rejoins us right now. And you can, by the way, guys, before we go back to Stephen, you can find all of our great partners, all of them. Bud's Gun Shop, Crossbreed Holsters, CZ USA. They're all there at armedamericanradio.com or .org. We got you covered. Stephen, welcome back. So let's continue this conversation because what we're getting ready to talk about is really, really disheartening to me. I take it personal. You know, when I grew up, we were actually taught the Constitution, Stephen. We were taught patriotism. We were taught respect for our flag. We were taught respect for our nation. And when I was growing up, immigrants, they settled into America because they all wanted a piece of the American dream as Americans. They understood and were taught our background, our history. And here we've got a commie running New York City come January. I mean, when you hear that, and then couple that with today's news of what just happened in Seattle, we have 2 large cities, 2 formerly great American cities, one on the left coast, one on the right coast, with communists, bona fide communists running the city. What does that tell you? How do you feel about that?
Well, look, you started off this conversation earlier about, because Trump's in office, we can relax and rest on our laurels that all our rights are safe. Well, this just goes to show you that they're not, right? I mean, you talk about New York, it's happening in Savannah, it's happening in Minnesota. You say Seattle today. I mean, this is the beginning, guys. We need to fight this. And that's why we're on the front lines defending our Second Amendment. We work with all the organizations out there and fund and donate to these organizations that help fight to keep our Second Amendment alive.
Yeah, you mentioned.
And so if you want to go out and spend your money with companies that are literally taking away your Second Amendment rights, go do so. Well, you need to be on Patriot Mobile.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I'm glad you brought up Savannah as well and Minneapolis. Not quite. Well, I don't know. The Democrat Party seems to be moving in that direction. It has been moving in that direction for a long time. But with 2 bona fides in Seattle and New York City, you mentioned Savannah. We have, ladies and gentlemen, what happened in Savannah, what Stephen's talking about here, is the fact that you have an anti-gun mayor who is pushing anti-gun bills in Georgia and going to enforce them, even though the courts told him that it was unconstitutional to do so. And that was holding law-abiding citizens responsible for keeping a gun in the car that might happen to be unlocked if a criminal breaks into the car and steals it. Now, here's the stupid question I ask all the time in a situation like this, Stephen, and we do it for fun because it makes perfect sense to do so. Is the charge upped or is the charge lessened if a criminal breaks into a car that's unlocked versus locked? The answer is no. Isn't it still breaking and entering the car? It's the same thing.
Is it? I don't know. I mean, I'll take your word for it.
It's the same thing. No cop, no DA is going to say, well, we're going to lessen his charge because you were stupid enough to leave your car door unlocked. If you steal a car that's running, you still stole the car. It's still grand theft auto. And these mayors have been told by the courts, can't do it. It's unconstitutional. And what do? They snub their nose at it, just like they did. You mentioned Minneapolis. I mentioned that briefly as well. where you have blatant violations of state preemption laws, and they just don't care. How do you think the mayor of New York, who is bona fide anti-gun, is going to care? What do you guys have a large following in New York? It's coming.
It's going to be immediate, Mark. It's going to be immediate. It's coming the minute he takes office. You can rest assured.
Well, you go to Virginia real quick, right? We'll get specific about that, as I was talking about with John Commerford. They control every lever of power now in Virginia after last Tuesday. As a result of that, every one of the close to 30 bills that Youngkin vetoed, anti-gun bills, they're all going to be dusted off, and the Democrat machine with majorities is going to dust them off, pass them, and Spanberger is going to sign them, which is why it's so important. And guys, I know this sounds crazy, but Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong. You can help fight that by having a Patriot Mobile phone if you live in Virginia, because your money goes to fight that.
Yeah, 100%, Mark. And I just want to say to all your listeners out there, right? You come on Patriot Mobile, we have all the networks. If you have phone service right now on a network out there, you will have service on Patriot Mobile. And by the way, it's all premium cell phone service. There's no reason for you to not be on Patriot Mobile if you are listening today and you believe in the same values that we are fighting out there on the front line, because we are out there using those dollars. A portion of every bill that is paid every month at Patriot Mobile goes to fighting these causes.
And it's so important to point out that as a corporation, you guys don't have to do that. That's money that Patriot Mobile, you could keep
company.
that. You could keep that money, and you choose to donate it to Christian organizations. You work with Turning Point. Still sponsoring the Jason Aldean tour, right?
We are. Yeah, we just signed on for another year.
Wow. So, guys, if you go see Jason Aldean, Patriot Mobile is everywhere there, okay? And like I told you the last time you were on, my kids are all over me about that, so we have to have that conversation at some point. But
let me know when and where.
Yeah, I definitely will. And, guys, please keep in mind with for-profit companies that do this, a company like Patriot Mobile literally wears it on their sleeve, just like I do. If you're watching, you can see I have the Second Amendment tattooed on my arm. I'm holding it up for the camera right there. Okay? Patriot Mobile does it by donating to every cause that you believe in. I don't know any other company. I've told you this before. I tell Danielle Buck this all the time. I don't know of any other company that does that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't name one.
Well, I can tell you for certain that there is no other cell phone company out there that fights for our Second Amendment rights.
30.
So let's close out with these 30 seconds. A great way to end with what we just talked about with Savannah, Minneapolis, Virginia, New York, Seattle. How important is defending our Second Amendment any possible way we can right now?
You got to be vocal, and we got to do it with love, and you got to, come to Patriot Mobile, and we'll be defending it out there for you.
That's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, I've got my Patriot Mobile phone. It's over here on the charger right now. In fact, it's just getting ready to get charged right now. In fact, it just started charging again. Guys, thank you for being here. Stephen Zaida, thank you for being here. And I want to thank John Commerford, National Rifle Association Independent. I'll get it out, Greg. Institute for Legislative Action, NRAILA. PatriotMobile.com, ladies and gentlemen, PatriotMobile.com. Use the promo code AAR. You can go to PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Take advantage of the great deals. Get a free month, up to $500 if you owe on your phone. They're going to give you a credit. 4 phones gives you a $2,000 credit. As Stephen has said before, you're not going to pay a cell phone bill for quite some time. Join us and help us fight for your rights. It's really easy to do. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, John Commerford. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio.
You just filled your prescription for freedom.
With Mark Walters.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association. On the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thank you for being here today. We appreciate it very much. Got a lot going on here in the studios, as you can see. So keep your eyes peeled. You'll see some cool changes coming up in the next days, weeks ahead, as Armed American Radio continues to grow, and we work closer and closer to that podcast, which we had wanted to have done by March of this year, but that did not happen, and there was a lot of reasons for that, but it's a little bit more of a massive undertaking. We had to change a few of the people that we work with in the background for that, so it delayed it a little bit. Anyway, regardless, Armed American Radio is going to get up and do it again. We appreciate you being here. Guys, give all of our partners a look, please, at armedamericanradio.com. Really look at Attorneys on Retainer, National Rifle Association, and, of course, Patriot Mobile. They are the real deal. They really, truly are. And it's great to know that whenever there's a phone bill that comes in, that a portion of whatever it is I pay goes to defending my rights and freedoms. And if you live in Virginia and Minneapolis, Patriot Mobile's helping you anywhere behind the blue wall, because they do put their money behind what it is they stand for and what they talk about. All of our great partners do. Bud's Gun Shop, Crossbreed Holsters, all of them. You can pick up the Patriots Relief products over there. Take advantage of all of these great partners that we have over there. All of our great sponsors. Attorneys on Retainer, great sponsor. We love them. And you can come see us in February, too, by the way. More about that coming up. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Tomorrow is Greg's favorite day, Friday. We're going to let him get a jump start on that right now. So stay safe, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Don't be that unarmed. Unarmed is by choice. Disarmed is by force. Remember that. Don't be that unarmed caveman. That means you did that yourself. Stay safe, guys. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Enjoy